I am Curran Bhatia, chatting with Jared Allen. We know him as, of course, the five-time Pro Bowl defensive end, had a great career in the NFL, and is now also doing big things post-career. I know, Jared, you were one of the 15 finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class in 2021. So first of all, congratulations on that.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty cool to get that far, and with your first time being eligible. So man, it was humbling, man. It's been a cool experience so far.
And I saw you on ESPN this morning. Obviously, we have to talk about the Super Bowl, Bucks versus Chiefs. And if I heard correctly, you are picking the Bucks. Now, that you started your career with the Kansas City Chiefs. They drafted you. What is going on right now?
Again, no, that's why I said I'm torn, right? Like, I want to see the Chiefs have success. Like, it's amazing. That franchise is going to be so successful for so many years to come with Mahomes and the pieces they have. I just think, when you're looking at history and as a former player, and obviously I played with against Tom Brady a lot in my career, being one of the older guard guys. To see what he's doing is special. I don't think people really understand how difficult it is to leave someplace you've been for 20 years and go to a new organization, new city, new franchise, new players, new offense, and have that success. Like I said, I've been a guy that's been like, if Brady wasn't in New England with Belichick, he probably wouldn't be, we all look for reasons to try to lower your competition so you think you have a chance to beat them when you're playing against them. But the reality is, now that I get to sit back and a fan and watch and appreciate it, 10 Super Bowls is insane. I mean, to be 43 years old and to take to be the first home team to represent in the Super Bowl, now you're just, what? If you're going to be great, let's do it. Do all the way. Be the first home team to win at 43, win 7 Super Bowls. So I think we're going to get to watch Patrick Mahomes' greatness for years to come. The Chiefs organization, obviously, I'm still a fan of what they're doing over there. But I think this is something special that we may never see again. I mean, how long has the NFL been going? And this is the very first time we've had a home team in the Super Bowl. So, you got to root for them to finish that one out.
No, I'm a longtime Jets fan, so I know what Tom Brady can do, and you have to give it up to him. Obviously, what he's achieved is amazing, and it should be a great game. So you obviously had a goal in your career to make it to a Super Bowl. I know that was a big part of what you wanted to do, and you were able to make it there. What would be your advice to players who maybe are new to the Super Bowl? There's certain things that are different. Halftime's longer. There's more people watching, obviously. From someone who's been there, what would be your advice?
Man, enjoy every minute of it. I think my only regret, knowing that was going to be my last game, for me, it was so surreal. It was in my hometown, back in the Bay Area, and go with everything that was going on. I think, but for us, we were we just knew we were going to win that game, right? And coaches, advice and everybody there, we tried to treat it just as a regular game, regular week, regular this, and I went through the week really not really focused on the external stuff that was going on and never fully embracing the fact that you're in the Super Bowl. I mean, you do because it is what it is, right? But then you lose and you're just deflated. In my mind, I was like, we are going to win this, and then we are going to celebrate, and we're in the hometown. We're going to fully take advantage of this. And then you lose, and you're just all your buddies have already been partying. You're like, whatever, I'm going home. I'm going to go see my wife and kids and go have a couple beers and sit down and go to sleep by 10:30. So I would just tell people to embrace it, because it was funny. We heard the Broncos, they had no curfews. They were out enjoying life through the midweek, and we were just business, which is great, which you should be. But yeah, if I could do it over, I would really embrace the moments and really enjoy. Focus on your task at hand, but when you got free time, go enjoy the fact that it's the Super Bowl. Obviously, this year is totally different than any other year, but that's my only regret that I didn't enjoy the build up to the game as much as I would, because I thought I was going to be, party until the sun came up, after we won, but it didn't happen.
And I wanted to ask you about other moments in your career, but first I have to ask you about something that obviously you were well known about. Obviously, you were well known for your accomplishments on the field, but your persona off of the field. We saw you on Jackass tackling Johnny Knoxville and everything that came with that. And I know you're quoted as saying, if you want to be successful, grow a mullet. So
100%.
tell me, does that stand the test of time? Is that still true in 2021? To be successful, do you have to grow a mullet?
I mean, you
I see the flow going there.
You see the neck salad coming out the back, and I'm up here representing Volvo, so I'm doing something right. You know what I mean?
I know that with the mullet, you that started off as a bet, right? And then it evolved with the racing stripes and all that.
Absolutely, yeah. Most of the goofy things I do start with a bet with one of my friends. So I think the reality of that statement is whatever you're going to do, you got to own it, right? So if you're gonna grow a mullet, you got to be sold out for it, and you got to rock it. I just happen to think it's awesome, especially when you get older. You start to lose it up here, and you can still flow it out the back. It looks good with a hat. So yeah, I think we did start with a bet. It kind of just built and took on this mind of its own. And then now here it is, and I think now I do it because like I sit on the board of my kids' school and stuff like that, and so just to be a board member with rocking some hair out the back, gotta keep people guessing, embarrass the kids a little bit. Like, Dad, everybody's got these, like you got this stylish haircut. I mean, look at you. You got this, you go to the barber, they're like, oh, we're going to get this guy cut up. And, I just keep it simple.
There you go. Love it. Well, it definitely worked to your favor and your success. You obviously had a ton of success in the NFL. I wanted to ask you, you were at the Vikings for such a long time. And I know that you decided at some point to make a change. You got a great contract, but you also wanted to chase that Super Bowl. But I know that you've said in the past that the Bears maybe wasn't the exact right fit. I know that led you to the Panthers, but any regrets on that decision to leave the Vikings?
No, no. So I love the Vikings organization. I had no plans of ever leaving. The reality is that Rick and I had a long talk, just kind of about, where the future was going. I mean, at the time, I was going into free agency. We didn't have a head coach. Our head coach had just gotten fired. We didn't even have a quarterback under contract. Matt Castle wasn't even under contract then. And, so, I asked Rick, I said, hey, who's going to be our coach? Who's our quarterback? And he was on. He's like, I don't know, Jared. It's right after the season. I don't know. So I explored options. I think my only regret, my one regret I say is, I had an opportunity to sign with Seattle, and we just didn't get the contract done the way we thought it could get done. And then Chicago offered me everything I was wanting, and they had the number 2 offense in the league at the time. And so I'm a firm believer God put you where you need to be for the right reasons. And we were having our second child. My wife's from Chicago, so it was good to be around family at the time. And ended up I had no intention to ever play for 4 teams, and so, but the good Lord took me to the end goal. Unfortunately, I didn't get to win the Super Bowl, but yeah, I don't know. Chicago, was kind of you get there, and then all of a sudden you think you're going to a place that is on the rise. It didn't work out, and GMs get fired, coaches get fired, coaching staffs change again. So yeah, it was a time in my life where, the reason I continued playing after the Vikings, I just wanted to have fun. The last couple of years in Minnesota was kind of tough. We were losing, coaching turnovers there. And I just wanted to get back to having fun. And you know what? Like I said, it took the long way to get there. But my last year in Carolina was some of the most fun I've had playing football. And, obviously we got to go to the Super Bowl. But, I mean, that locker room and that staff and that organization was phenomenal. It was a great way to end my career. And, I said I would have loved to do it with Minnesota. That's where my heart was at. And, but it was unfortunate. So, but hey, it is what it is. And sometimes you got to take that windy road.
Absolutely. And that did lead you to the Panthers. Like you said, you got to play in the Super Bowl. And I know in 2016, you called it a career. You rode off into the sunset, even though there was no sunset, but you did still ride off in that epic Twitter retirement video. When did you know that you were done, and how did you decide that it was time to step away from the game?
I knew I was done in 2010. Honestly, so I literally had when the deal with Seattle didn't look like it was going to happen. I just told my agent, I was like, I'm done. I'm good. I had always planned to retire after 10 years, but Chris Carter told me one time we were sitting at practice on a Friday or something like that. And he said, Jerry, when you think you're done, play 2 more years. And so that had kind of sank into my head. And, obviously people want me to still play. But I was just like, I'm good. I'm done. I don't really want to play for another team. My body, I'm good. And then I got a call. I was talking to our team chaplain, our pastor, and he was just like, Jerry, I just feel like you're still going to play. And literally as I was talking to him, I got a call from my agent that said, hey, this is what Chicago offered, and I was like, oh, I can't say no to that. So did the deal. But yeah, so I think, but yeah, I knew that whole last season. I knew, my agent's a bright human being and structured my deal to where, I only needed to play 2 and I could, and maximize the dollars coming in. So, yeah, I mean, I knew for a while that it was the end of the road for me. And it just, not that the much to maintain the level that I feel that I had to maintain to be considered great or good. What my personal expectations were for myself. And you get to the point to where your body just, I blew my L5 out my last 2 years. I broke my foot. Your body starts, the body and the will to, put in the 6 hours of work. They just kind of, they weren't matching up. And so that's when it's time to step away. And for me, my life or my identity wasn't in football. My identity was in my family and in my faith. And football is something that I love to do and I was really good at. And it was a part of me, but it wasn't who I was. So that's how I knew. Like I said, so it was an easy decision, I guess. That's the long-winded answer to say I knew for 2 years.
And obviously with, health concerns and player safety and CT and everything, I'm sure you're happy that you hung it up when you did. You're only 38 years old. When I was putting it out that I was interviewing you, the first question was, what is he doing now? What is he bored? What's going on? So what is life like for Jared Allen now?
Oh, you know what? Just, we got this crazy pandemic. So, just laying low. Kids are doing virtual school. So, doing all that stuff. But life is chill. Like, like I said, when I walked away, it was just, play golf, try to stay out of, not bug my wife too much and help with the kids and, daddy-daughter dances. You got, like I said, being involved in school. Obviously took a bet to do some curling. So, I was doing that. Pandemic put that on the backside. So, yeah, just having fun, relaxing, raising kids, and, just my new role, being the best husband and dad I can be. And, but yeah, I generally like doing nothing. So it works out well for me.
Hey, that seems great then. That's perfect. So I had a couple other questions from people who wrote in. Rohan wants to know best grandfather story. Go.
Oh man. So my grandfather was an old school Marine, and he one time me and my cousin were messing around, and my cousin told me that he was going to Ninja Turtle my grandpa. My grandpa roundhouse kicked him in the chest when he was about like 6 years old. And I was just like, oh, this is great. And I never messed with my grandpa because of that. That and the other one would be like I used to always eat. My grandpa used to buy the wheels of cheese, back in the day, and we'd make us cheese sandwiches. He knew I hated mayonnaise. And so instead of butter on it, he put mayonnaise on it one time. And I took a big old bite. And I was like, Grandpa, there's mayonnaise on the sandwich. And he said, well, you took a bite of it. Now you sit there and eat the whole dang thing. And so I think I must have sat there for a couple hours until I was forced to eat the entire mayonnaise and cheese sandwich. So, but, yeah, that was my grandpa's way of having fun with us.
I know you've taken a stand against mayo. Why do you hate mayo so much? What's the reason?
Honestly, it's gross. I'll put a thin line on it, on like a BLT, but even then I'm like, just give me avocado or some butter or something like that. I don't know. Mayo's gross. And, I don't know. I know I got a mullet, so I should love mayonnaise. I just don't love mayonnaise. There's a multitude of reasons why I don't love mayonnaise.
I wanted to ask you about the Hall of Fame. Obviously, I'm sure that's a huge honor. What do you think about being one of the 15 finalists and some of the other great names that are in your draft class?
Oh man, it's insane. Like I said, it's just a humbling experience to be a part of. It's hard to describe because, it's nothing that you have control over. I've already put in the work. It's obviously it's 5 years. So, but it's fun to go and relive those past memories and see the people that you're being recognized with, some of the greats in the league of all time, and people that I watched growing up or people that I competed against, or even with, in some instances. And so just to see the process play out has been super cool, and just to be recognized that there's people out there that recognize that I played the game the right way. And that's for me. I always played this game for the respect of my peers and the respect of those people who came before me. And if I got those two, then it's a success. And this is just affirmation that, I'm on the right track.
And during your great career, I mean, you played with some great players, some of the best of our generation, Brett Favre, Adrian Peterson, Tony Gonzalez, Cam Newton, many others. Any motivational advice or things that you learned from these guys? I know that you mentioned before a big game when Brett Favre was going to go against his previous team, he texted you, he said, "We need you today." And that obviously motivated you. So anything that you learned from these guys from a motivational sense?
Yeah, you know what? So Tony Gonzalez told me when I was like, I'll never forget, Coach Herb asked Tony to speak to the team, and he was like, "I'm good." And I was like, "Hey, Tony, like, why didn't you want to speak to the team?" And he was like, "Listen," he's like, "if somebody needs to hear my voice to be motivated, you shouldn't be in this business. You should be self-motivated to be great." And I always remember that. And Tony was a guy which people don't understand. And I was talking about on First Take earlier today is, the work ethic. That dude, I've watched that dude. That dude was always out to practice early, running the top end of all of his routes and catching balls from every single angle, every single day. That dude put in the work. Every single catch Tony's ever made, he's made 1,000 times in practice, right? And so I got to watch, this, and he taught me about being self-motivated to be the greatest. And if you need somebody else to spark that, I really have no business with you. So from Tony, I learned that early, which drove me to just to want to be a master of my craft. And then, you learn from the greats like the Brett Favres of the world and like the Willie Ropes of the world. I got mentored by a ton of great people. You got to bring others along with you. It's just not okay to be great. So Tony brought me along by just what he did and led by example. And so, Brett, I realized why Brett was so great when I watched him be at the facility till 10:30 at night. I watched Willie Rofe just, be Willie Rofe. I battled that dude every single day in practice. And everybody had different. Will Shields, talking about one of the kindest human beings on the face of the earth. But when that dude put his hand in the dirt, his eyes would literally shift. And it was locked in mode, right? Guys like Eric Hicks and Vonnie Holliday, they countless film studies. So for me, it was a process of, I took a little bit from everybody and realized that the best way to motivate people is to do, right? And that's what all those guys did. They did their job. They did it at a higher level. And then they taught other guys how to do that. Not with a rah-rah speech, not with this, but with just their actions. And you see the production on Sundays. You're like, man, I want to be like this dude. I better act like this dude. So, that's what I tried to drag people along in my career. Just little insights that you learn here or there. But at the end of the day, I think what Brett said about Aaron, it ain't my job to teach you how to play quarterback, So, but that's the mentality. It's not my job to teach you how to play. My job is to set an example of leadership and set an example of excellence that you should follow.
Absolutely. And I know that you definitely recognize greatness. You played with greatness. And it seems like obviously we're seeing that play out now in this upcoming Super Bowl. One other listener question, who is your favorite QB to hit and why?
All the great ones, the Peyton Mannings of the world, because they're the hardest to get to, sacking Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, and then, some, let's see, Rivers was always fun because he'd job back and forth, any quarterback that would get like upset at their old line after they got hit, they were always fun to hit as well. But the greats, anytime you can get to one of the top 5 quarterbacks, either of all time or in the league, you got to love it.
And before I let you go, I have to, when you look up your name now, the first thing that comes up isn't former professional football player. It's American curler. Yes. So tell me about curling. Why is curling so important to you?
I took a bet from a buddy to try to make the Olympics, and I chose curling because we weren't very good at it at the time.
It always starts with a bet, right?
Yeah. And then in the process of putting my team together, Schuster and them won the gold. So then I just looked like a jerk, but I was already too far down the rabbit hole. I had to continue. So, but yeah, curling's fun. I liken it to like your short game of golf, right? It's a very finesse sport. There's so much actually that goes into it from, ice speeds, times, communication, sweep. Like we learned a multitude of it, and it's a blast. And then I'm a competitor, so I want to be the best at whatever I do. And so, yeah, I went down that road, and the pandemic put a halt on it. But yeah, the dream is still alive, and we'll see what happens when we get done with this thing. But yeah, it's a blast. It's fun. And at the end of the day, if you lose, the winners have to buy you a beer. I don't understand that concept, but hey, at least you can get a cold one out of losing, as you're learning the sport.
That sounds like a win-win either way to me.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. I want to get into curling now. So, all right, before I let you go, I know that you've done some great work with foundations. You've worked with the Wounded Warriors Foundation, and now I know you're working with Volvo. And this is very full circle for you because I know your first car, or one of your first cars, was a Volvo station wagon, right?
Yeah, it was a hand-me-down from my stepdad. He gave me the choice of the motorcycle or the Volvo. And I didn't really feel like going, I wouldn't want to spend a Saturday taking the safety course for the motorcycle. And so I made the right choice with the Volvo. Otherwise, I'd probably be dead by now.
Wait. Hold on. I just have to pause you right there. Jared Allen, we've seen you do all these crazy things. You got the mullet. You had a choice between a motorcycle and a Volvo station wagon, and you chose a Volvo station wagon. I just want to make sure.
Out of pure laziness, out of literally pure laziness. I was like, man, I don't want to sign up for this safety course and get my motorcycle's license. There was a process you had to go for it. I already had my driver's license. All I had to do was hop in the Volvo. Although the transmission, they had a faulty transmission. It was leaking tranny fluid, so I constantly was always pulling with tranny fluid. But that's the way your first 16-year-old car should be. But the thing started. It ran like my good. It was, I think it's like in 1987. So. What was that? This was nice. So this car was literally like 10, 15, 12 years old when I got it. It was awesome. I just rocked the station wagon. And then your friends love it, right? Because now all your friends, you got piled in the back. You throw all your beach crap in it. I grew up in California. It was great. So I had the Volvo station wagon and drove that thing till the wheels fell off.
You did, and I know now you're working with Volvo for this Super Bowl coming up. So do you want to tell people a little bit about what you're doing with Volvo now?
Yeah, it's cool, man. Like I said, when we got together on this, it was just kind of that natural fit. I was laughing that I had a Volvo growing up, and it literally is one of the safest cars on the road. And it's funny what your mind remembers, right? I remember my stepdad telling me at a young age why Volvo was so safe, because they designed their engines to in head-on collisions to go underneath the car versus coming through and killing people, right? And then learning about this campaign, it was a no-brainer. Obviously, the reason we teamed up because I have the NFL record for safeties, and Volvo being one of the safest, if not, I would say the safest car on the road. And then they told me about wanting to give $2 million worth of cars away, so it's cool. So here's the deal: sign up. If there's a safety on Super Bowl, they are going to give $2 million worth of cars away. So I'm trying to, figure out who I know on each team. Let's get the long snapper, throw one over the head of the punter. Let's get these cars driven, given away. But the cool part about it really is it's not just a number. It's about safety, right? So Volvo, which I didn't know this stuff recently. Volvo invented the three-point safety belt, right? And so they've been accredited to saving over millions of lives with that invention. And now they want to save another million lives through innovation, through technology, through more so technology, the equipment in the car, and they want to save another million lives. So that's how they get to the $2 million number, trying to save another million lives on top of the million lives already saved by the seatbelt. So let's do that, sign up, get a free car, and let's just get a safety. So, whoever out there, whatever defensive end is out there, whatever long snapper is out there is listening, let's make it happen. I mean, it's 2021. Let's start it off with a bang.
Absolutely. Amazing. I'm definitely rooting for a safety now. We need that to happen in this Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
I really hope it does. Hopefully with your poll, you can influence somebody to do something, help us out. Let's get a safety. That's amazing. Jared Allen, I want to thank you so much for the time. Congratulate you again on the 2021 Hall of Fame class, being one of the finalists. Enjoy the game, enjoy the Super Bowl, and enjoy post-career. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Oh, thanks for having me on.